Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Inside the Mind, where we talk about online marketing strategy, what it is, why it's important, and why you should care. In last week's episode, we talked about different lead generation techniques, and this week we're going to talk about my dear friend, resistance. I want to talk about this because it's something we all face, especially when you're trying to level up your business. Quite honestly, the only thing that separates successful people from everyone else is their ability to overcome resistance and meet their goals no matter what's thrown at them. But in order to beat resistance, you must first recognize resistance in all of its forms. And from what I've been able to tell, resistance comes in two different forms: internal and external. To me, internal resistance manifests itself through the excuses we make for ourselves, like, I'll do it later, or I don't have time, or it's too hard. But realize, these are self-imposed limitations that restrict our ability and allow us to remain complacent with our current reality. We tell ourselves these things to excuse ourselves from putting in the work we know we need to do in order to improve our situation. If you find yourself making excuses, remember, an excuse is all that separates us from who we are and who we want to be. Steven Pressfield, the author of The War of Art and the Resistance, says this about resistance.
The demon is internally based. It's internal self-sabotage, what I call resistance with a capital R. The question then becomes, well, how do you overcome it? Once you identify the voices that you hear in your head that are really not you, they're really this negative force that's out there that's resisting you. But if you recognize them as just sort of alien, visitations, you can just let them pass through and keep working. So, okay, how do you overcome resistance? For me, the policy that I use, or the phrase that I use, is turning pro, which is a kind of a different attitude from being an amateur to being a professional. Now, an amateur, when an amateur hits a sticking point, you'll just retire to the bench and say, hey, it hurts. But a pro learns to play hurt. A pro shows up every morning no matter what. A pro stays on the job all through the day. A pro doesn't over-identify with the work, so that if there's a failure, it knocks him out of the batter's box. A pro doesn't take failure personally or success personally. A pro is patient. A pro endures adversity. A pro plays hurt. All of this kind of attitude of a professional helps you attain that sort of lunch pail, hard hat, attitude that's not precious, not a prima donna, not a diva, but a hard-working, hit 'em every day, go for it, infantry attack mode. And that, for me, is how you get something done from A to Z.
And if you want to read a great article on overcoming internal resistance and get some really actionable advice to introduce better habits, follow this link. The other type of resistance is external resistance, which are all the things that happen that you have absolutely no control over. For us, it's things like software crashes, plugins stop working, we've lost footage, lights have broken, and my favorite so far is destroying the microphone minutes before a shoot after taking 3 weeks to figure out how to get it to work properly. External resistance is when the universe hates you and does everything it can to make sure you doubt yourself and makes it so you want to give up. But I have this theory, which is resistance is always going to be at its strongest whenever you're on the cusp of doing something truly great. When external resistance rears its ugly head, you can't let it overwhelm you. You need to push through and continue doing what you know is right. I know that's easier said than done, but over time, you will develop a stronger tolerance to external resistance. It doesn't ever go away. In fact, I think it only gets stronger, but the more you battle it, the stronger you become as well. And think of it this way. Any story worth hearing, the main character has to overcome overwhelming, sometimes impossible obstacles in order to reach their goals. You must adapt, improvise, and never, ever give up. And that's really all I got for today's episode of Inside the Mind. So thanks so much for watching. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. I'd love to get your thoughts on resistance and how you overcome it too, so please leave a video response by clicking on my face, or leave your thoughts in the comments below. And subscribe if you want to be the first to know when the next video comes out.